Thank you. Thank you. Hi, you. All right. Sorry, folks, I was muted again. We'll get there. We'll get there. But AAPM 2023 in Houston has finally kicked off, and we are here in the booth with our first out of the gray live guest, Stephanie Key with ZAP Surgical. Stephanie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for taking time to join me and share.
It's really fun to be here. I've never been able to do a podcast live on AAPM, and I've never done a podcast before, so it's going to be really cool.
Oh, it's super fun. I promise it's not scary. At least I hope not anyway. We're still trying to work out the kinks on some of the live stuff. It's a little different than in the recording studio. I got control of everything, and here it's
we did just hear a drum line go by, so
that
was unexpected.
We did. Folks, for those of you who are not here, in the exhibit hall next door, there is the American Fitness Expo. That's right, going on this week, and they like their drums. It's really fun to listen to them. So I'm excited to go next door and see what they're up to. But before that starts, thank you again for joining us and being willing to share some stuff about that here from the trade show floor. We're so excited to get to know more about this machine.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's really kind of cool coming back to Standard Imaging. I worked with Standard Imaging for, a few years. So I was honored to get the invite to be here. Today, I work with ZAP Surgical. I started with ZAP in January of 2021. I've been in the industry for a while. I have a dosimetrist background. I'm a CMD dosimetrist, radiation therapist prior to that. And so I came into ZAP to kind of help in a clinical nature as we're moving out into a larger install base, and then we're talking to more and more potential users and people that are looking for a new radiosurgery tool and device. So you can see the ZAP behind me. This is an install in Munich, Germany. And I think the one thing that you'll notice right away is the fact that this system is installed in a room with windows. So that's the first of its kind in the world, to have a high energy linear accelerator in a room with windows. But it's one of the hallmarks of the design of the device. It is completely self-shielded.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I love seeing these things. I get pictures often sent to my phone of folks saying, like, what is this thing? I've seen it. Where did this come from? But such a neat device. And for the folks looking to install something in a place where maybe the shielding isn't, or they're limited on their options, exactly, this provides a really great experience.
The goal is to break down barriers of access. And one of the biggest barriers to access is real estate in some cases, and also construction costs have gotten to be really high. So you can see the operator console is literally adjacent to the device. You can't really see it in the picture here, but there's an area marked on the floor that's 1 meter away from the system. And at 1 meter away from the device, you're at public levels of radiation.
Wow.
Background radiation.
Wow.
We probably wouldn't do this generally, but if a family wanted to come into the room while the patient's being treated, they could be in the room. I mean, it's that safe. And passersby, you see them there on the sidewalk, they see the device. It's a great opportunity to kind of showcase your new tool.
I hadn't thought of that. So they can see it.
They can see it. So for privacy purposes, you lower shade or something while the patient's being treated. But outside of those times, you have an opportunity to showcase one of the major tools in your toolbox. But ZAP was designed by Dr. John Adler, who is well known for being the inventor of the CyberKnife system. So this is kind of his second foray into the radiosurgical world from a device perspective. And he trained under Lars Lichsell years and years ago as a neurosurgeon. So he's a real believer in radiosurgery, a tool for diseases of the brain and malignancies of the brain and benign lesions in the brain.
So many uses.
So he kind of tried to harness some of the gold standard aspects of the gamma knife system, using those pencil type beams for treatment, but creating a device that's fully self-shielded and uses a LINAC for the energy source rather than cobalt-60 radioactive source. So self-shielded, and then it uses LINAC as an energy source.
So I've seen pictures. We were talking before we went on the air here. Pictures of this social media, and I've noticed there always takes pictures from the inside, but never from the outside, which creates a whole new dynamic for the folks walking by. But so many, what an interesting history this has.
Totally. So we have treated our very first patient at the end of 2019 on the ZAP system.
Yeah.
And since then, we now have 13 systems treating patients in the world today.
Wow.
And multiple sites being installed in the US, in Europe. We have one going in India right now, one in Asia, one in Korea. So we're growing quickly.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is the fact that people don't have to take out a tool they're currently using and replace it with ZAP. They can bring ZAP in and start a new radiosurgery program, or move towards a device that's dedicated to radiosurgery just because of the precision and the accuracy you get with a dedicated radiosurgery device.
Right. So yeah, I guess there wouldn't be a need to take anything out.
Yep.
Kind of just wherever it needs to go.
This building or this room you see here was simply a build out from the existing hospital.
Oh, I see. Wow. So the construction options really are, the limitations are within there.
Yeah, and we have examples of multiple different installs. We have private outpatient clinics, doctors' offices. We have some in hospitals, obviously, but it really does open up a lot of avenues that weren't previously seen.
So as far as like the scheduling for radiation therapist, formerly myself, as far as the scheduling goes, how long duration would a treatment like this be compared to a regular Dr. Linac?
Okay, so if you're comparing it to like a CR Linac, the treatment times are going to be slightly longer with ZAP. We're looking at traditionally anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes delivery procedure. You would probably still schedule a 45-minute to an hour slot just because, kind of from a overthinking perspective, you block it out like that.
Sure.
Treatment times are going to be faster than a Gamma Knife with new sources, slightly faster than a Gamma Knife with new sources, but that's a good kind of rule of thumb if you're looking at delivery times.
That's honestly, that's quick.
Yeah, it is in the sense that you are opening up space on a CR Linac to treat more patients. So you pull off, the patients that would be treated on a CR Linac. That opens up that space for other time slots for patients, which I guess can ultimately raise your total volume.
So I know you mentioned a moment ago, just for myself again and the listeners as well, how many are live now in the States?
So in the States, we have 4 systems that are actively treating patients. Our newest site will be Jersey Shore, part of the Hackensack network. And then we have a system also being installed at the Miami Cancer Institute in Miami, Florida, which is part of the Baptist Health Florida network. So those will be our next 2. And I think it's kind of cool too, from a story perspective, because we had 2 full COVID years after we treated that first patient.
Right.
So the fact that we've made momentum is a testament to what we're doing and what Dr. Asser is trying to achieve.
It definitely is a testament. Still around after 2 years of everyone staying inside.
Travel, we couldn't get shipping was an issue everywhere, let alone being overseas.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the recent conversations. At least we can get things delivered on time now. And that goes for businesses as well as individuals.
Truly.
Some tough days there. So, how long is the install for a machine?
It depends. If the site is fully ready, if the room is ready, and all we need to do is drop the machine in, it would take you about 3 weeks. 1 week, 2 weeks for install, then you need to do a week of ATP and then a week of training. But that would mean, everybody's aligned. Sometimes schedules slide because we have to work with so many different variables. But if everything's ready, that would be realistic.
Really cool.
But it's pretty quick. The system, because it is fully self-shielded, so most of the shielding comes from cast iron, lead, and tungsten.
Okay.
But it's heavy, so it weighs about 60,000 pounds.
So it's a first floor operation.
It's a first floor. But you can bring it out of the basement, right? Bring it out of the basement and into the light. Put a window in the room. The patient is more relaxed. It's more comfortable from the patient's perspective. You can see inside the device there.
Sorry, I'm in the way.
From the foot of the system. It's lit and ventilated, and we can see the patient from multiple angles. So we have, 7 cameras installed, mounted inside the treatment sphere. One of the things that people ask us about a lot, I bring it up just because it gets asked most immediately, is does a patient get claustrophobic in there because it kind of looks like an igloo and they're going into the igloo and everything's closing up.
Does.
Um, and what we've found so far is that if the patient's been able to tolerate the mask making process, because we use a mask for immobilization today, and they've been able to tolerate the CT and MR procedures, then they've been able to manage treatment and we haven't had issues. If the doctor is concerned there could be some anxiety, they have been managing that with oral anti-anxiety like that or something similar.
Simple to manage in the clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm seeing this is from looking in from the
Yes, from the foot.
okay.
So I actually have a movie we could play, show you kind of a active, to give you an idea of what it looks like. This is a system that we kind of take a 360-degree view around. This is closed. So the shell door is rotated. We raise this vertical door from the pit. Once it's in that closed state, you're in a treatment delivery ready mode. Kind of go around. It just looks really cool. The system looks cool. We've got these kind of purple traveling LED lights. People walk in and they're like, wow, it's like it's so amazing. Patient. Yeah. But the patient's set up on the table, you put their mask on, the doors rotate, now we're ready to treat. This is our clinic. We use 3 MV energy. It's a 1500 MU per minute dose rate. This is our collimator wheel. There's a 45 CMSAD. That's kind of important because it reduces penumbra. When we're talking about those tiny little beams, we want to keep the beam as sharp as possible. This is our collimator wheels. We have 8 different sizes of collimators that can be used. 4 millimeters is the smallest, 25 millimeters is the largest, and that collimator can rotate within a second. So you can use any variation of collimator sizes in the treatment plan. When we start the procedure, we image the patient. We use a KV tube that's mounted on the device. 3 images are required for triangulation. We register those images, and then the couch position updates based on the registration adjustments from imaging. You can kind of see the EPID there. This is the imaging panel. You can't see the KV tube, but it's mounted approximately 45 degrees from the and then in order to achieve really incredible treatment workspace or beam workspace, Dr. Adler and them used a gimbal gantry design. So there's 2 gantries, an axial and an oblique. When they rotate together, we have the opportunity of reaching 260 possible non-coplanar beam angles. So when you're looking at that compared to Gamma Knife, it's almost twice as much workspace because we're able to get those inferior beam angles away from the midplane. So it's really quite amazing.
It's really cool.
So now it's delivering beams. So the gantry rotates to each position to deliver a beam. That's the big difference between ZAP and Gamma Knife. Gamma Knife, all beams fire at the same time. This is sequential. So we'll do each beam in until all beams have been delivered. And then you will get an image while the patient's being treated to make sure that they don't move. But we also use an MV detector that's measuring the exit dose of every beam, and we compare that to a prediction to make sure that the dose is accurate. So if it's plus or minus 10% difference, we'll stop treatment and ask you to check the patient position. But here you can kind of see that area marked on the floor. This is that safety zone. These are the lasers that are mounted on either side that's actually monitoring this area. If anyone stepped into that region during a treatment procedure, everything stops.
Wow. It just looks so cool.
It really is.
It looks
It really
so
does
cool.
look cool.
Yeah.
They wanted something that was going to be flashy, and I think they achieved it.
They got flashy. That is for sure. This one, it's almost like watching it in I mean, it's the most possible, like a car commercial. Like a new car, you know, like all the crazy angles and the beautiful colors, and there's a lot of design.
They put a lot of thought. They put a lot of thought.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
And since this is Dr. Adler's second project, he took everything he learned from CyberKnife and Accuray, and we've been able to kind of get him to apply a lot of that here.
Yeah.
But I do think, you know, his concern is that the radiosurgery market is underserved, that around 200,000 patients globally receive radiosurgery as a treatment option, and the potential is millions, right? Over 2 million. And the reason they don't come back here is because they either don't have access to the care, or they live in a place where, it could be, we're seeing systems in India and Brazil, China, these types of places where they just don't have the access. So
Yeah,
our cost point on this system is on the lower end of the spectrum. So breaking down the barriers of access from a cost perspective and a complexity perspective.
Such an important goal for, I think, our whole field to focus on. Access is so limited. I'm hopeful that changes, and this seems to be one of those tools in kicking us along.
Bringing best in class everywhere.
Absolutely, making the best available all over the place. That's what we want.
What is ZAP? I hear all the time ZAP, ZAP, ZAP. It looks like the Russians used to put in their military equipment.
Yeah.
Well, it is a radio surgical tool, similar in nature to the Gamma Knife, using small pencil beams, but it's fully self-shielded. So it's a fully self-shielded device that treats intracranial radio surgery.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I already have a Gamma Knife.
Yeah.
It's
So
just,
this is going to be very
just
similar.
installed 6 months
Oh, really?
ago, so brand new Gamma.
Wow. When your sources get low, call us, okay?
Right.
Yeah,
When it's time to replace the sources, give us a call.
I know what you're telling. But at this point, they're brand new.
Right. You have a couple years.
So it's a big machine, by the way?
It's not very big. 26 by 20 is the room size recommendation. So it's not a super big. And because it doesn't need shielding, you can take advantage of existing space. We could actually install one right here if we wanted to.
What do you use? I mean, what is the unit?
It's a limit. Yes, it uses 3 MV energy. 3 MV. So it's on the low range, closer to camp.
Yeah, I have the look.
I'm Stephanie. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
That's awesome. It's an attractive machine. Even folks walking by are like, wow, what is that? It's beautiful. Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's great. That's great. So folks we're here in the exhibit hall. People are walking by and they're hearing us in our conversation and asking questions, which is awesome. That's what happens. Communication.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Right. And we also have the band kicking in next door. So if you, can you hear them?
Yes.
I can hear them. I don't know if the listeners can. So if you can hear the American Fitness Expo next door. So
They're starting a new workout.
they are getting started with something over there. But I so appreciate the tour of the machine and the information about where you guys are in and what the goals are for it. It's really been an enlightening conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it so much.
It's really good to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be here all week. Right, the show wraps on Wednesday.
That's right.
So we'll be here, and we'll have live episodes every day. So for our listeners, I see we've got a couple of folks out there. Oh, it's so nice to see you too, Christian. Hi. And Aqua Leopard says hi as well.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi, folks. So if you're here in the Houston area, please do stop by. We're in booth 300 with Standard Imaging, and where's ZAP's booth?
So ZAP does not have a booth at AAPM, but I'm on LinkedIn, Stephanie Key. Look me up, send me a message. I'd be happy to talk.
Absolutely. LinkedIn. I'm on there too. You guys know how to find me, and if at the top, I'm happy to connect you to Stephanie. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. What a fun experience, folks. We will be back in just a little bit with an update from our product manager Andrea Zenz on the Lucy family of Phantoms. So we'll be kicking that off here in about 15 minutes. But in the meantime, stay tuned. We'll be ready to come back shortly and hopefully have some more presentations for you today. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.